Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday, July the 30th. Thanks for hanging out here on the Prime Time program. We are going to talk about your quarterback pinpointing the biggest problem with the Titans offense right now. We'll get to rising and falling at the end of the show. It is, I do appreciate Cam Ward's transparency, but I would appreciate better football, and I think you guys would too. And I don't think there's anything wrong with him acknowledging that the product, it's 2 weeks in, but needs to be better if they're to operate at a reasonably high level. And there are some reasons why it is not operating at a high level right now. So we will talk about that. You will hear from Cam Ward. You'll also hear from Brett Kern, as a matter of fact, because I thought Kern was excellent. I mean, Brett's always good, but I thought he was really good on the radio show today, talking about a couple of different things, because I also think these practices have lacked urgency. I used the word energy incorrectly today on the radio show. Brett came in and provided the context of urgency creating energy. So I wish I had, had the foresight to think of urgency in real time, but they have lacked urgency in a way that's clear and obvious to me. And I also think that is a part of the problem with what has gone on in these last 2 weeks. Now, are these problems correctable? Absolutely. Are they things to freak out about on July the 30th? Probably not, but they are worth discussing because these are things that are happening on the practice field right now. And I do think it's worth taking the time to kind of dive into why this situation looks to be less than you might have expected it to be, or maybe wanted it to be, or maybe you're reasonable. And you say, well, yeah, I mean, what else is he supposed to look like on July the 30th when he's 2 weeks into training camp and 2 days into his really 2 days into his Titans career, because fully padded practices are really when the football season starts. They're adding a third fully padded practice, by the way. They just sent us all a text about that on Friday, and we were not planning on being out at Ascension St. Thomas on Friday, but we're going to see if we can't pull some magic here, rearrange people's schedules, and make sure that I can be out there for you guys, and that we can do interviews as we've typically been doing on training camp days before we ship off to Tampa and Atlanta for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a lot of moving around these next couple of weeks, but we'll look forward to taking you on the journey with us and seeing Cam Ward in his first game action. Travis Knight says practice tomorrow, but there is no practice tomorrow. Based on their schedule right now. But with everything that you have going on, I think they could use an additional padded practice. And I know there's a cap. There's a limit on how many actual padded practices they can have due to the league schedule. But I think for all of the different things that you want to see from them, I don't think there's anything wrong with squeezing another padded practice in there before you go down to Tampa and Todd Bowles tries to light your ass up the way that he is famous for doing. He's got, I think Nick Holtz on the radio show today, the Titans offensive coordinator, described it as having so many blitz packages, it's disgusting. Which straight from the mouth of an offensive coordinator in the NFL who's had to play or game plan against Todd Bowles before, and that will be a good test for Cam Ward. But in the meantime, they're practicing against themselves, and Cam Ward has been very honest about what he thinks the biggest problem with the Titans offense is right now. So we will get into that here in just a second, right after you guys share the show around Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, wherever you're spending your time with us. Please do share the broadcast. We always like seeing new names and new faces in the comment section. If you would be so inclined to do so, you could even text the link to a friend if you're hanging out on YouTube or Twitch. I guess you could do that on Facebook too. But like the video while you're there. And as more of you guys trickle on in here, we'll go ahead and get this thing rolling. Welcome in A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday night, made possible by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com. Employee pricing for everyone is what they offer at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com for more details. TrueMath Fitness. Oh, that's going to interrupt my TrueMath Fitness situation on Friday. Them having a Friday practice was not in my plans, but that's fine. I will talk to Worth Campbell, who's the owner and one of the personal trainers there, and we'll see if we can't get my workout in regardless of what the Titans practice schedule looks like. And that's what I appreciate about TrueMav. What you will appreciate about TrueMav is they'll make sure you are still able to accomplish your fitness goals, whether you take their group fitness classes or their personal training, or just sign up for a membership and work out as you want at TrueMavFitness.com. Very, very reasonably priced at TrueMathFitness.com, especially relative to a lot of what people pay in Nashville for gyms or circuit training gyms or all these other things. TrueMath, really good value for what you get for what you're getting. Jeff Ferg says, thanks for all the news and updates. Living in Indiana, I don't get to keep up with the behind the scene details, so thank you. We're happy to do it. That's literally what they pay us for, Jeff. So happy to keep everybody as up to date as humanly possible. And listen, there are some things that my opinion, I got some pushback today on saying I don't know if we need a fight out of practice, and this is a year removed from me getting going after Jeff Simmons for starting a fight on the first day of fully padded practice, and then getting on Callahan for not kicking Jeff out of that practice, and then Jeff immediately starting another fight on the very next play. So I get why that would seem a bit hypocritical, but like they're pretty flat out there, guys. And I just say kind of tongue in cheek, I don't know if we need a fight out here or not, but they need better urgency. And I don't think that's an opinion that only I have based on what we've seen through the first 2 days of padded practice. Should be a little better. Should be a little, again, people are going to get fired here again for the fourth straight offseason if they don't get their shit together. So I know Cam doesn't come in here with that baggage, but the rest of them pretty much do. And I would expect to see a greater level of urgency here with how this thing, like I said, it doesn't mean that they're not getting work done or anything like that, but you should also be more impressed with what you're seeing or the way that they're going about their practice habits right now. And I just don't think there's anything particularly impressive about them through 2 weeks. But let's go ahead and get it started. Well, I guess we already started. We've done the whole shebang, share the show around. Let's talk about what Cam Ward had to say. So with all of the things that we've taken away, I get DMs, I get tweets, I get questions from people at restaurants or when I go to the farmer's market to do my grocery shopping on Saturday or anything else. How's Cam look? How's Cam look? How's Cam look? Well, I think Cam is a really good or really self-aware about what things look like right now. I love when Titans fans, and it's not all of you. In fact, I think it's a loud minority of you. Like I think the vast majority of you are nuanced or reasonable, are patient or more patient, even though you're tired of bad football and you want to see Cam Ward, pick this thing up a notch. I totally get that. I think the vast majority of you are not overreactionary. And then there's some of you that are completely, whack jobs and are trying to crown Cam Ward as something that he's, that he may eventually be. I have no idea what Cam Ward's going to be in his career, but like overhyping everything that Cam Ward does. And there could be no criticism of Cam Ward whatsoever, even though he's just like every other rookie coming into the NFL and he's got a learning curve. No, none of them arrive at professional football as a finished product. And the fact that he's struggling right now is fine. As long as those struggles don't continue into the next couple of weeks, that's where you would start to have some level of concern. So I'm not outright concerned about it right now. But when people ask me, hey, what's Cam look like? Well, I just go ahead and let Cam Ward speak for himself. We'll do that right after I remind you or ask you your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section if you are so inclined. How do you feel about Cam Ward's assessment of the offense being very mid? It's your Two Rivers Ford take. It's presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Two Rivers Ford goes above and beyond to make sure that you enjoy the car buying process and that it's fast, easy, and more fun. You go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of Nashville International Airport, and you will experience all of the wonderful customer service and, of course, the quality American-made Ford vehicles that they are famous for over 4 decades here in Middle Tennessee. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com, like I said. All right, what do you make of Cam Ward's assessment of the Tennessee Titans? Because y'all get pissed at us, or some of y'all get pissed at us when we say the exact same thing, but when your quarterback's saying it, I don't know how you could ignore it.
I just think we're very mid right now, from my position to up front to the receiver's position. But at the end of the day, it all starts with me. I just don't think we're at where we need to be. But we got a little bit of time, and so every day we get better as a whole. We're a young team, but that's no excuse. At the end of the day, we got to come with the right mindset every day and come to work.
So that's Cam Ward speaking after practice today. First time he's talked this week, and his assessment is that we're very mid right now of the Titans offense. And when I first heard that quote, and it's not the first time he's referred to, his performance as mid or and let me say this before I get ahead of myself. I appreciate that Cam Ward has better perspective than 70% of Titans fans. I think that Cam Ward is on it. I think that Cam Ward understands that they're not very good right now and that they have to get appreciably better. And he's going to work his ass off. I have no doubt about that to make sure that they do get appreciably better. And they may have a ceiling this year because they're still probably going to be a bad football team. And there are some things that he can do to help course correct that, put them on the right track as they continue to improve. He's only in his rookie season. He hasn't even played a preseason game. We've just gotten to really what I consider the first week of his career because there's padded practices. And that is the closest thing to real football. Sean on YouTube, or rather Facebook, says, Buck, your comment about the lacking urgency, this is very concerning. How can this be where this organization has been recently? You're going to hear from Brett Kern on that very subject because I thought Brett Kern summed it up better than I ever could. And I would agree with you. I wouldn't say that I'm annoyed by it, but I'm irked by it because, yeah, y'all are the worst organization in football here lately. You have to operate as if everybody, because everybody probably is at risk of being fired because she keeps firing people and citing the team's record. And I'm not saying that you have to have a winning record in 2025 to keep your job because I do think that that's unlikely, but damn, like y'all have to pick up the pace here a little bit. There has to be something that brings more juice out of this roster because that was never, I know people get tired of the Vrabel stuff but Mike, Mike had his own flaws. There's no question about it. The idea that we never had to talk about a lack of urgency or an emphasis on urgency at practice and the fact that it's 2 years now where we're talking about it. And I understand that coaches are different. Not everybody has to have the same practice habits. And there are some criticisms of Vrabel going too hard at practice and stuff like that. That can also be a criticism. But they're the worst team in football. Like, you guys are going to get fired if you don't play better. And you play like you practice. And right now the practice is just bleh. It's just out there, just going through it. And I'm very disappointed with that, especially for all the hype they did about, look at how much juice Cam Ward and Jeff Simmons are giving the offense and the defense, talking shit to each other during mandatory minicamp and stuff like that. Okay, I mean, that's fine. But if it doesn't bring the level of urgency that's required to make sure that everybody understands that this is professional football and you guys are shit out of luck if you don't start winning football games and the product doesn't improve. And I mean, top to bottom in that organization, everybody except Amy is in danger of losing their jobs with the Tennessee Titans at any given point. That's because Amy owns the thing. It's just very disappointing. But what's not disappointing is that Cam recognizes it too. Like that he's pointing it out too. And that is the kind of person that you want helping to guide everybody else in the right direction because he's like, yeah, boys, this ain't it. Very mid. It's a problem that can be corrected. That is probably pretty simple to correct. But that it's happening now, it's going to put some onus on him. Okay, let's see how you correct it, young blood, because this is your team. And you don't have to do these things yourself. Calvin Ridley can help you, and Jeff Simmons can help you, and Johnny Hecker, John Fossil, who's famous for his level of inspiration and team building, galvanizing personality. Like there are people in this organization, hired by this organization or brought in by this organization that know how to do this. So why is it so flat? I think Cam Ward is correctly, bless him, correctly articulating the problem that, at least a percentage of Titans fans and thank God Twitter's not the real world because Twitter is a particularly dumb iteration of this, but like some of y'all are willing to overlook this. And I just think that's garbage when your quarterback is telling you, yeah, no, it's not acceptable right now. I'll play the clip again.
I just think we're very mid right now from my position to up front to the receiver's position. But at the end of the day, it all starts with me. I just don't think we're at where we need to be, but we got a little bit of time. And so every day we get better as a whole. We're a young team. But that's no excuse. At the end of the day, we got to come with the right mindset every day and come to work.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. because I saw somebody, posted my tweet from last year about calling Jeff Simmons sloppy and saying that he needed to lock in, which, obviously caused an issue between me and Jeff, and we've since worked through that. And saying, he needs to lock the F in was the tweet from a year ago, and then pointing out my tweet today and saying, because I said, I don't know if we need, I'm a little tongue in cheek, and Twitter is not the place for sarcasm to be conveyed, but I tweeted today, I don't know if we need a fight or something, but this is a serious lack of juice on both sides of the ball, and I would like to see a little bit more of it. And, Titans Twitter does what Titans Twitter does. They took both pictures, put them side by side, and said, can't win for losing or something like that. Yeah, but both things can be true. Like your team, you don't need to go out there and whip everybody's ass and try to fight start a fight on every third play, but you can afford to operate with a greater sense of urgency here. And if you want to simp for bad football, that's on you, or subpar football. But the thing that I appreciate about him, Cam Ward, is that he's not willing to do some of the excuse making that a lot of people seem to do for an organization that doesn't win football games here lately. So let's talk about stock up, stock down, rising and falling, whose stock rose, whose stock fell. By the way, I'm not doing primetime tomorrow. Easton was kind enough to switch with me for Tuesday. So Easton will be with you tomorrow to end the primetime week. And we'll have the radio show tomorrow. We will have Nick Suss of the Tennessean in studio, so we'll look forward to that. He does an excellent job covering the team. And then on Friday, we will have Coach Dave McGinnis. I asked for J.C. Latham, Calvin Ridley, or Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I think those are three good players that y'all would enjoy hearing from, and those three haven't been on the show yet. I bet it ends up being Jarvis Brownlee Jr. because I think the other two get asked for a lot of media obligations, and I'm not trying to wear them out right now. But I think that you'll enjoy any of those three, and so one of those three, I'm sure, will make sure to help you out there. Stock down Easton for big leaguing that kid and ducking us on Tuesday to hide from his mistake. What do you mean big leaguing that kid? I don't know what that means. But I'm sure Easton didn't do anything intentionally, like I would. Anyway, so whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week in sports? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Let me know. We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is made possible by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. TrueMathFitness.com there to help you accomplish your fitness goals. I love the True Math Fitness workout program. I am very pleased with the results for me. I know you guys will be as well, and that's why they offer you that first workout free, because they know you'll be hooked as soon as you take one of their awesome classes. All right. Stock up, stock down, rising and falling. Whose stock rose, whose stock fell? Stock down Titans practice. I mean, it's just, I think I really, you guys should check out this full interview with Brett Kern, because we talked about a lot of good shit today. He's also going to be out at practice on Friday, so maybe I'll have him come back upstairs and hang out with us for a little bit, since Lucas is filling in for Will hosting the morning show. Ramon needs somebody to hang out with him for 4 hours, so we're going to send Lucas away and let him do the morning shift, and we'll see if we can't have some fun without him in the meantime. But we had some fun with Brett Kern today, and I think Brett Kern really hammered the point home about urgency creating energy, and the Titans don't seem to have it right now at practice.
Again, why we're grateful for Brett Kern being here to help make us smarter. If I'd have used urgency, Lucas, instead of the word energy, that's probably more what I'm trying to get to. Like, this is the worst team in football last year. I want to see everyone, every play, every practice moving around like they are going to lose their job, because nobody should be safe other than the guy that just got drafted number 1 overall. And even he is probably feeling some level of insecurity, the way that Brett described, even if he's not showing it externally, because people's jobs are now depending on him.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's unfair criticism. I guess it's just for
urgency is a better word.
Yeah, urgency should create energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's what, in order to see the energy, there needs to be a sense of urgency. And I know the coach before Callahan, it was almost nauseum about a sense of urgency. And next thing you know, like, that's how you're operating. That's how you're practicing. Of every rep counts so much, even though it is just practice. Like, even punting. I mean, he was standing right next to me, ready to critique me right off the bat.
Talking about Vrabel.
Yeah, so if a punt went out at the 10, he'd be like, why couldn't that go out the 5? I mean, that's 5 yards for
You do it, Mike. Don't let the research blow away.
That's hours and hours of work.
Joey Slide just went over the deck right here.
That's cool. Lucas almost did too, trying to call the game or call practice today.
But I think with that sense of urgency, all of a sudden you're heightened towards what you're doing, and your job, your details become that much more focused in. And then obviously, like I said, with that creates urgency. Urgency creates the energy that is needed for practice.
So that's Brett Kern really, really hammering home the point. And I thought, and it's not just about Vrabel, right? Because again, Vrabel had flaws. Mike Vrabel's not a perfect coach, just as Mike Mularkey wasn't a perfect coach. God knows Ken Whisenhunt wasn't a perfect coach. Brian Callahan is not a perfect coach. Like, they're all going to have different elements of their game that they should be good at. But if the quarterback's calling you mid, and former players are noticing a lack of urgency at practice, and even dipshits like me are noticing a lack of urgency at practice, you can't have that. I can't come away. I can be, I can understand if they're not the most talented team in football. Like, I can forgive that, right? I know where they've been, and I know what John Robinson, the spot that J-Rob put them in over a period of time. I can forgive that. I can forgive Cam Ward having, ebbs and flows, just like any rookie quarterback has ebbs and flows. That's what it is. Those things happen, and it's a completely normal part of the process. And like I said, as long as those mistakes aren't bleeding into, a month from now, 2 months from now when the regular season starts, I got no issue with that either. What I cannot forgive is the worst team in football having a lack of urgency. It's not. Like, that can't be the criticism of you. That cannot be the criticism of you. You were the worst. You have to show that you are at least willing to scrap and claw and fight at every single time you snap the football out there to not repeat what last year was. And I don't think the guys are lackadaisical that way. But your practice habits do not outwardly show that you are feeling that same sense of urgency that everybody else is impressing upon you. Why aren't you feeling that then? That's only a question that they can answer, and maybe things will ramp up against Tampa and Atlanta, but are you going to have prepared yourself sufficiently if you're not having urgency when it's just you practicing? Like, you can't have joint practices week in and week out. Is that urgency going to fade when the lull of the season comes and you hit the halfway point and things may not be going exactly the way that you wanted them to, or you may have dealt with adversity or injury, all these different things? Like, is that lack of urgency going to peter out? Can I trust you to maintain that level? The most important thing that you have to do out there is to go 110 miles an hour. Your technique doesn't have to be perfect. It's not always going to be perfect. In fact, they can coach technique as much as you want, and you practice all these things time and time again, but you get in the shit and things are moving 100 miles an hour and your technique maybe falters a little bit. But the thing that I can't question is your finish, your urgency. It's not acceptable. And I love that Cam Ward is acknowledging that it's not acceptable as well. All right. So that's going to do it for us tonight. We appreciate you hanging out. Radio show tomorrow. Robert and me, Lucas, is going to be helping out with the morning show while Will is out for the next couple of days. We hope that you will spend your time with us from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone, and we'll look forward to talking some more Titans there. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you on the radio show tomorrow.
Go home! Go home!